We going? Yeah, we're going. Word to your mother, because I'm probably in her basement, or at least I'm in my mother's basement. I'm live from my mother's basement, and I'm Johnny, and I'm your host. Yay! This is something I haven't done for a very long time, and honestly, I think I've only ever done one or two. This is a Q&A video. All of the questions are coming from, one of my best friends in the entire world, so I'm very excited to do this and get it out there, and I think all of them are relatively good questions that you don't always just, not the same old shit like, who's your fave five? Because that can change week to week, It's, unless it's like, your fave five of all time, then generally, you tend to go with either older guys or guys you grew up with or something else. But needless to say, these four questions are really good, and I had to do some research for one of them because it was just like one of those ones that makes you think, and I wanted to have my shit straight before I came on here and started professing, my idea. But you'll figure that out. So here's the thing. If you haven't already checked it out, please check out dantalkswrestling.livejournal.com. That's my friend Dan's little blog. We've since stopped watching WWE product for a while, and he does a TNA wrap-up, and he does Ring of Honor. Very informative. He also has things like the Armchair Booker and the Gimmick Table, where he tries to rewrite old stuff or talk about how he would have done things, or what direction he would have went instead. And that's just pretty entertaining stuff. And even for a guy like me that likes to do that, even I'm surprised by what he's thinking. I mean, I've been hanging out with the kids since the 7th grade, and Jesus, I mean, we're going to be 29, 28 here soon, so I mean, it's just a good time, and I always enjoy hanging out with Dan, and it's nice to be able to have the wrestling discussion, not only between he and I, but to share it with you guys. So here are 4 questions from him, dantalkswrestling.livejournal.com. If I remember, I'll put the fucking link down below. Here's my Q&A. Shouldn't be all that long, I hope this doesn't turn into a 20-minute video. And the first question is, who is my favorite diva or knockout now that Maryse is gone? Because everybody knows that, before there was The Miz and before there was Alex Riley, that I loved me some Maryse, and she was all mine. As far as having, property over a diva. She had it. She had the it factor, and I think that, ever since she's kind of been gone, that nobody's really had that same it factor, and nobody's really captured my attention as much. You could say that with Hardcore Justice last night, with Tessmacher doing the flying elbow drop off the top rope, yeah. That kind of caught my attention, but she's still, pretty, I don't want to say green, because she's improved a lot, but the idea is that she just doesn't have that it factor that flows out of her like Maryse did. Like, I mean, I can get behind her, I can support her, I like the new fresh face, being taken seriously in the division, beating Gail Kim, all that. Yeah, great for your push, but just doesn't capture the fans like a Maryse did. And maybe it's just because I'm older, maybe it's because I miss, legitimate badass heels. Probably right now, my favorite knockout, because I can't really get behind any of the divas right now. They just don't feature them enough for me to give a shit about. Would be Tara in TNA. She always seems to go out there and put on the hell of a show. She's very interesting to watch. She has good psychology. She sells really well. She's athletic as fuck. And yeah, I'll go ahead and say her. If WWE gave me a reason to tune in, I could see myself being a Tamina Snuka fan, personally. But I think that's more because of her father, maybe not necessarily because of herself. It seems kind of, mean to say it that way, but, sometimes the lineage, it helps your cause a little bit. Unless you're Ted DiBiase Jr., and then I just want to see your old man wrestle again, and because they don't do anything with you. But that's not a diva. That has nothing to do with this question, but it's a good question. So the answer is Tara, and I'm really sad to see Maryse gone for so long. I really hope that at some point she'll come back, get into it, either in another company or they'll work their shit out with WWE, and that stalker situation and everything else will be gone. This next question was a doozy. Who's the best tag team to never win the championship? And, you know, that makes you go back and think, and it's like, oh, fuck, well, who didn't win the championship? So I had to go through some old archives. You know, there's two teams from my childhood that I really liked, and even though they never won the gold, I thought that they were severely underrated as tag teams. The first being the Ultimate Maniacs, the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage. They were over. They had so much energy, and they never got to use half the ideas they had because it's just they never got ran with. It's something that kind of collapsed on itself. It didn't work out. But their promos were awesome. They always had high energy. They complemented each other so well. And there were two guys that you could legitimately think were going to go run roughshod through the tag team division, because at that time they were two of the biggest guys in the company. Savage could be either a heel or a face. I love Savage to death. He's always going to be my favorite wrestler. Nobody will ever probably come close to that. But Ultimate Warrior, back in his heyday, was red fucking hot. I mean, he was like a lightning bolt. And I don't know, he just really deserves, you know, to be mentioned in that tag team, because that was a really good pairing. And, you know, when Vince got it right back then, he got it fucking right. And that was one way to do it. But they never won the tag titles, and you know, that was a shame. And you would think I'm going to say the Mega Powers next, because you know, I'm a really big Savage mark, but I'm not. I actually chose the Oriental Express, or the Orient Express, or whatever they were called. I remember watching them back on, I think it was Royal Rumble 91, against Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers. And these guys were like, you know, Mr. Fuji's, like, you know, crones, the stooges, essentially. He went out there. Mr. Fuji was the center of appeal for them, and he was the manager using the cane and all this heel tactic shit. Just like he had done with Demolition, essentially, for a while. But, you know, I think it was Tito and Tanaka, the Orient Express, the one I'm talking about. These guys had talent. You know, they went out there, they put on the hell of a show. They made the Rockers look better. I don't know, not that the Rockers needed it, but I'm sure it didn't hurt anything back then. It's just, it's a shame that, you know, they never really were able to capture the gold in WWF, because I think that, you know, as far as tag teams go, that would have really freshened things up, instead of having it be about the Nasty Boys and the Hart Foundation and Demolition and the Legion of Doom. You know, it seemed like a rotation for a while, until you started introducing a lot of newer teams. Like, I mean, you can even say, like, the Barbarian and Haku, they were a tag team forever, but they never got, like, the push that they needed. They were just like a gatekeeper tag team kind of thing. But the Orient Express, I thought, had it. And with Fuji as their manager, I thought they could have went higher than they actually did. Well, for that matter, the Rockers could have went higher than they actually did. But I would say for that question that the Ultimate Maniacs and the Orient Express are my two picks. And just two teams that I really remember being a fan of back then. Nowadays, you know, they put so many random guys together that don't even have a tag team feel that I don't think it would be fair to mention, you know, any one of them as the answer. Question number 3 is, who has the best flying elbow in the business today? And honestly, I mean, nobody's going to be a Macho Man, in my opinion. And as far as I'm concerned, HBK is gone. But honestly, I wasn't as impressed by his either. You know, CM Punk is always doing a flying elbow drop, and I get that it's a tribute, and I get that it's, you know, always going on. But in terms of showmanship, in terms of being excited and, you know, thoroughly surprised about somebody doing something, the best flying elbow right now, I think, would go to Eric Young in TNA. If you've watched him do it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Guy gets mad air, and he's just like in the zone when he's going up there to do it. And I think that's part of it, is I miss, you know, the oozing of charisma and the, we're going up, we're going up, you know, like, it's just something that you don't have anymore. Well, you know, because when Punk does it, he stands up there and he, for a while, for whatever, and then he goes, but it doesn't feel the same. And then lastly, question number 4 is, what is my favorite submission hold? And, you know, I can't pick just one because, you know, I'm me. But I'll give you my top 2. Or 3. Whichever. Honestly, and this is going to be cheesy as fuck, but you remember WCW's Cruiserweight division? Some of you probably don't. Some of you probably weren't even born yet. But, you know, when guys like Rey Mysterio were fighting guys like Ultimo Dragon, you know, and Jericho was in the mix with that, and it was just starting to get really hot, and they even had, you know, a few other people down there, Disco Infernos and such. You know, like, the Dragon Sleeper was honestly my favorite one, and I could always count on it to win the match. Now, you know, everybody else and their mom is going to say, Crippler Crossface, or, you know, something else. But I honestly like the Dragon Sleeper the best. Probably hands down. But in terms of favorite, I mean, like, there's some that are just so classic and iconic when you see them get locked up that you're just like, oh shit, you know, and now it's over. And one of them being the figure 4 leg lock, you know, whether it was Ric Flair, whether it was Hogan doing it, whether it was DDP doing it on the outside to Hogan, in the match that he eventually won his first, you know, heavyweight title with in WCW, to any of the guys back in the day. Greg the Hammer Valentine, I remember, had a really good figure 4. They had a figure 4 match against each other. Him and somebody else. I can't get the name right now, but I'll look it up later and try to correct myself here. But yeah, the figure 4 was always a big fucking deal. And the fact that you could reverse it, the fact that you could get to the ropes, the fact that, you know, Flair had won so many matches with it, the fact that Dusty Rhodes did it on Flair, you know, to really get heat on that. Just a good fucking move. One of the better ones over the ages, I would say, and it's stood the test of time. People still use it now. I don't know how I feel about others, so I'll just give you those 2. It'll be the Dragon Sleeper and the figure 4. That kind of concludes this Q&A. I know it's a lot shorter than I normally do them, but hey, whatever. Give me some more questions. Let me know what you're thinking. DanTalksWrestling.livejournal.com. Make sure I put that in the fucking shit below, otherwise I'll have to type it out later and put it in as my own comment. Thank you for watching. Give me some more questions. I like doing this stuff. Later.